My mother-in-law said I was keeping her son away from family, until he told her why we installed the security cameras. For 2 years, I'd been the villain in her story, the cold daughter-in-law who poisoned her precious boy against his loving mother. She'd tell anyone who'd listen how I refused to let them visit, how I made excuses about being too busy or too tired. What she didn't mention was the key. The key I found hidden in our bathroom ceiling vent 3 months after we moved in. Our new house, the one we'd saved for years to buy, the one that was supposed to be our fresh start. I noticed the vent cover was slightly crooked one morning while brushing my teeth. When I pulled it down, a single silver key fell into my hand. It fit our front door perfectly. I confronted my husband that night. He called his mom. "Did you have an extra key made when you helped us move in?" The silence stretched for 30 seconds. Then, "Well, I'm his mother. What if there's an emergency?" No apology, no shame. We changed the locks immediately. That's when things got weird. Small items would be moved. My favorite mug disappeared and reappeared in different cabinets. Photo albums I'd organized were rearranged. At first I thought I was losing my mind. But then my husband started noticing too. His cologne bottle, always kept on the left side of the dresser, kept migrating to the right. The thermostat would be adjusted when we came home from work. One morning, I found muddy footprints leading from our back door to the hallway. We'd been at his brother's house the entire previous evening. My husband called a locksmith to check every entry point. The locksmith found scratches around our bedroom window lock. Fresh ones. "Someone's been trying to jimmy this open," he said, pointing. Probably succeeded too. We installed cameras that week. 6 of them. Living room, kitchen, both entrances, hallway, and one facing the backyard. My mother-in-law called it paranoid. "Who do you think is breaking in? This is a safe neighborhood. You're being ridiculous." But we kept them running. For 2 weeks, nothing. Then one Tuesday afternoon while we were both at work, movement triggered the living room camera. The footage showed my mother-in-law letting herself in through the back door. She had another key. She walked through our house like she owned it, opening drawers, checking our mail, even going through my jewelry box. She spent 40 minutes there, touching everything, rearranging, invading. We watched her stand in our bedroom, running her hands over our bedspread, opening my husband's nightstand. That was disturbing enough. But what happened 3 days later made my blood run cold. The camera caught her bringing someone else. A woman I'd never seen before, younger, maybe late 20s. They walked through our entire house together. The stranger took photos of everything, our furniture, our wedding pictures, the layout of each room. My mother-in-law opened our closets, showing her my clothes, my husband's belongings, pointing, explaining something we couldn't hear. Then the stranger tried on my wedding dress. My mother-in-law had pulled it from the closet, and this woman stood in our bedroom, wearing my dress, while my mother-in-law adjusted the fit and smiled. They left after 2 hours. My husband watched that footage 3 times before he could speak. When he finally called his mother, he didn't yell. His voice was eerily calm. "Who is she?" I heard his mother's voice through the phone, high-pitched and defensive. "That's none of your business. A mother has rights. Rights to break into our house? Rights to let strangers wear my wife's wedding dress?" My husband's hand was shaking. "Tell me who she is. Now." The line went quiet. Then, barely a whisper. "She's someone who would have been a better choice for you. Someone who understands family loyalty." My husband ended the call and looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. "We need to check something." He pulled up the older camera footage, going back through every day since installation. That's when we discovered she'd been coming twice a week, always when we were gone. And she'd been bringing that woman each time. The stranger had been in our house 7 times, wearing my clothes, sleeping in our bed. We spent the next 4 hours going through every second of footage. Each visit revealed something worse. The woman wasn't just trying on my clothes. She was living in them, walking around our house like she belonged there, making coffee in our kitchen, sitting at my vanity using my makeup. One video showed her and my mother-in-law having lunch at our dining table, eating food from our refrigerator. They were laughing, planning something. "Go back," I said, pointing at the screen. "That one, from last Thursday." My husband clicked the file. The timestamp showed 2:47 p.m. We'd both been at work. His mom and the stranger entered through the back door as usual. But this time, they had shopping bags. Multiple shopping bags from expensive stores. His mom pulled out lingerie. New lingerie. She held it up against the woman, nodding approvingly. Then they went to our bedroom. For 23 minutes, we watched them measure our bed. The woman lay down on my side, posing while his mom took photos on her phone. They rearranged our nightstands, moved our picture frames into drawers, replaced our bedding with new sheets they'd brought. Sheets that were still on our bed. The ones we'd been sleeping on for a week without knowing where they came from. "I'm going to be sick," I whispered. My husband's jaw was clenched so tight I could see the muscle jumping. He kept watching. The women measured our closet space. They documented everything in a notebook. My mother-in-law pointed to specific spots, gesturing, explaining. At one point, she opened my jewelry box and let the stranger try on my engagement ring, my grandmother's ring. The woman stood in front of our mirror, admiring it on her finger. "Call the police," I said. "Right now." "Wait." My husband's voice was strange, hollow. "There's more." He pulled up footage from 5 days ago. His mom arrived alone this time. She went straight to our home office. We watched her rifle through our filing cabinet, pulling out documents, our mortgage papers, bank statements, my husband's work contracts. She photographed every page with her phone. Then she moved to the computer and tried logging in. Failed. Tried again. Failed. She pulled out a flash drive and inserted it into the USB port. She tried to hack our computer, my husband said flatly. My own mother tried to steal our financial information. The video continued. After 15 minutes, she gave up on the computer. Instead, she went through every drawer in the office. She found our passports and photographed those too. She opened our safe. We hadn't even realized she knew the combination. How did she know it? My husband's birthday. God, we were stupid. She removed my grandmother's pearl necklace worth over $15,000 and dropped it in her purse. "That's theft," I said. "That's actual theft. We can prosecute her." Keep watching. His mom went to the kitchen and made herself tea. She sat at our table for almost an hour, just looking around, smiling, like she was savoring something. Then she took out her phone and made a call. We couldn't hear the conversation, but we could see her lips moving. She was animated, happy. She kept gesturing to our house, our things. After the call ended, she walked through every room one more time, touching things. Our furniture, our walls, the door frames, like she was blessing them, or claiming them. Before leaving, she stopped in front of our wedding photo in the hallway, the big one, our favorite. She stared at it for a long time. Then she took it off the wall, removed the back, and slipped our photo out. She replaced it with a different photo from her purse. In the new photo, my husband stood in his wedding suit next to the stranger, both smiling, photoshopped perfectly. What the fuck? My husband breathed. She hung the fake photo back up and left. We'd been looking at that doctored image for 5 days without noticing it was wrong. The frame was the same. The setting was the same. But I wasn't in my own wedding photo anymore. My husband stood up so fast his chair crashed backward. He walked to the hallway. I followed. He ripped the frame off the wall and smashed it on the floor. Glass exploded everywhere. The fake photo stared up at us. Some stranger wearing my husband, wearing our wedding. "I'm calling the police," he said. "Then I'm calling a lawyer. Then I'm calling a locksmith to change every lock in this house. And then," he looked at me. His eyes were red. "Then we're getting a restraining order, and I'm cutting her out of my life completely." We called the police. 2 officers arrived within 30 minutes. We showed them everything. Every video, every break-in, the theft, the trespassing, the fake photo. They took notes, asked questions, told us this was one of the most disturbing cases they'd seen. "You need to understand something," the older officer said. "This goes beyond normal boundary violations. This shows premeditation, planning, and what we call delusional replacement fantasy. Your mother is trying to erase your wife and replace her with this other woman. Can you arrest her?" My husband asked. "Absolutely. Breaking and entering, theft, criminal trespass. We have everything we need. But I'd recommend you also file for a protective order immediately. This behavior could escalate." "Escalate to what?" The officer exchanged a look with his partner. "In cases like this, where someone is trying to replace a family member with another person, the threat can become directed at the person being replaced. Your wife needs protection." A chill ran down my spine. My husband's hand found mine and squeezed hard. The officers took copies of the footage and filed an official report. They said they'd go to my mother-in-law's house that evening to make the arrest. They recommended we stay somewhere else for the night, just in case. We packed bags and went to a hotel. We sat on the hotel bed, numb. My husband kept staring at his phone, then putting it down, then picking it up again. "You want to call her?" I said. "Not a question. I want to understand why," he said. "I want to hear her explain what possible justification there could be for this." "Don't. Let the police handle it. She's my mother. She stole from us. She violated our home. She tried on my wedding dress with another woman. She photoshopped you into a fake wedding photo. She doesn't get to be your mother anymore." He flinched, but he didn't argue. Around 9 p.m., his phone rang. His brother. "Did you have Mom arrested?" His brother demanded before my husband could even say hello. "Yes." "What the hell is wrong with you? She's your mother. She raised you. And you have her hauled away in handcuffs because of some paranoid delusion you and your wife." "Stop." My husband cut him off. "Come to our hotel. I'll show you the footage. Then you can decide if I'm the one with the delusion." His brother arrived 40 minutes later. He was angry, defensive, ready to fight. We pulled up the videos on the laptop and pressed play. We didn't say anything, just let him watch. The anger drained from his face slowly. By the 3rd video, he was pale. By the 5th, he looked like he might throw up. "Who is that woman?" he finally asked. "We don't know," my husband said. "Mom won't tell us." "This is insane. This is actually insane. Did you know about any of this?" His brother shook his head quickly. "No. God, no. I knew Mom was upset about you two getting married. She always thought—" He stopped himself. "Thought what?" "That you could do better. That's what she'd say. That your wife wasn't good enough for our family." He looked at me. "I'm sorry. I should have said something. I just thought it was normal mother-in-law stuff. I didn't think that she'd break into our house and stage a replacement fantasy." I finished. "Yeah, that." We spent another hour explaining everything to his brother. The key, the break-ins, the stolen jewelry, the financial documents. By the end, he looked devastated. "I have to tell you something," he said quietly. "About 6 months ago, Mom asked me for your work schedules. She said she wanted to surprise you with dinner. I gave them to her." The room went silent. "She's been using your schedules to know when we're gone," my husband said slowly. His brother nodded miserably. "I helped her. I didn't know, but I helped her do this." "It's not your fault," I said, though part of me was angry. "She manipulated you. I should have known something was wrong. She was too interested, too specific about the times." He rubbed his face. "What's going to happen now?" "She'll be charged," my husband said. "The DA will decide what specifically. Breaking and entering at minimum. Probably burglary because of the stolen jewelry. Criminal trespass. Maybe identity theft for the financial documents. She could go to prison. Yes, she's our mother. She's a criminal." His brother left around midnight. We tried to sleep but couldn't. Every sound in the hotel hallway made us jump. Every shadow looked like his mom. Around 3 a.m., my husband's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You'll regret this, both of you." We showed it to the police in the morning. They traced it to a prepaid phone purchased with cash. Untraceable, but they added it to the evidence file. Threatening communications. Another charge. The arraignment was scheduled for 3 days later. We attended. The courtroom was cold. His mom sat with her lawyer, looking small and sad. The victim act. She wore a simple dress and kept dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. When she saw us, she turned away. Hurt. Betrayed. Like we were the villains. The charges were read. Breaking and entering. Burglary in the 2nd degree. Criminal trespass. Theft. Stalking. The stalking charge surprised us. Apparently, the DA decided the repeated break-ins and surveillance behavior qualified. The bail was set at $50,000. His dad paid it. His mom walked out 2 hours later. That evening, we got a call from our security company. The alarm had been triggered. The police arrived first. They found her standing in our driveway, just standing there, staring at the house. When they approached, she said she was visiting her son. They arrested her again. Violation of the no-contact order that had been issued as a condition of her bail. This time the judge denied bail. We thought it was over. We were wrong. 2 weeks later, I came home from work to find our front door open. Not broken, just open. Like someone had walked in and forgotten to close it behind them. I called 911 from the car. Police arrived within 5 minutes. They cleared the house. No one was inside, but someone had been there. Our bedroom was destroyed. Every piece of clothing I owned had been cut to shreds. Systematically, precisely. Shirts, pants, dresses, all sliced into ribbons. My shoes had been stabbed with scissors. My makeup was smashed across the vanity. Every product opened and destroyed. In the middle of our bed, arranged carefully, was a wedding invitation. The invitation was for a wedding, my husband's name, and the stranger's name, the woman from the videos. Her name was Bridget. The date was 3 months away. How did they get in? I asked the police officer. The locks were changed. The alarm was armed. Back door, he said, showing me. Lock was picked. Professionally. Whoever did this knew what they were doing. They dusted for prints. Found nothing. Whoever it was had worn gloves. The only evidence was the destroyed clothing and the wedding invitation. The invitation had been printed at a professional shop. The police tracked it down. The shop owner remembered the order. Said a young woman had come in, paid cash, picked up the invitations 2 days ago. The description matched Bridget. So now we had a name, Bridget Chen. The police ran her background. 27 years old, worked as a dental hygienist. No criminal record. Lived 30 minutes away. Had been my mother-in-law's dental hygienist for 3 years. That's how they met. That's how this started. 3 years of appointments. 3 years of my mother-in-law sitting in that chair, talking about her disappointment in her son's choice of wife. 3 years of planting seeds. The police brought Bridget in for questioning. She came willingly, smiled the whole time, denied everything. Said she'd never been to our house. The wedding invitation? A joke? A misunderstanding. She and my mother-in-law were friends. They'd laughed about how it would be funny if she had married my husband instead. Just girl talk. Nothing serious. Then explain the photos on your phone, the detective said. That wiped the smile off her face. They'd gotten a warrant for her phone based on the videos. Found hundreds of photos. Our house, our things, me. Photos of me taken without my knowledge. At the grocery store, at work, leaving my gym. The timestamps went back 18 months. I take a lot of photos, she said. Her voice had changed, harder now. Is that illegal? Stalking is illegal, the detective said. Conspiracy to commit burglary is illegal. Breaking and entering is illegal. And we have video evidence of you doing all three. They arrested her that day. Same charges as my mother-in-law, plus harassment and stalking. The DA was building a case against both of them. Conspiracy. They'd been planning this together for months, maybe years. But then things got worse. While going through Bridget's apartment with a search warrant, police found a journal, a detailed journal, page after page of plans, how she would replace me, how she and my mother-in-law would make it look like I'd left voluntarily. There were notes about my daily routine, my work schedule, the route I drove, where I parked, places I was vulnerable, and on the last page, a date, tomorrow's date, with a location, the parking garage where I worked. You need protection, the detective told me. This has escalated beyond stalking. We believe there was a plan to harm you. They assigned a patrol car to follow me, protective surveillance. I took a week off work. We installed more cameras, better locks, a security system that would alert us if a fly breathed wrong. But it didn't feel like enough. Every shadow felt dangerous. Every car that followed too long made my heart race. I couldn't sleep, could barely eat. My hands shook constantly. My husband tried to hold it together, but I'd catch him at night, staring at nothing, his face blank. He'd lost his mother, not to death, but to something worse. To the realization that the woman who raised him was capable of planning to hurt someone, planning to hurt me. His dad called finally. 2 months into this nightmare. I need you to understand something. His dad said, your mother is sick, mentally sick. This isn't who she is. This is exactly who she is. My husband said, this is who she's always been. I just didn't want to see it. She loved you too much. That's all. She couldn't let go. She tried to have my wife hurt, possibly killed. That's not love. That's psychotic obsession. I'm not asking you to forgive her. I'm asking you to understand her. I understand perfectly. She's a criminal, and so is her friend. His dad hung up. We haven't heard from him since. The trial took 6 months to start, the longest 6 months of my life. We moved twice, changed phone numbers. I quit my job and found work remotely. We couldn't risk being predictable, being findable. During all of this, we discovered more, so much more. My mother-in-law had been collecting information about me since we started dating. 8 years of surveillance. She had hired a private investigator to follow me before we got engaged. She had copies of my college transcripts, my medical records. She'd somehow gotten access to everything. The PI testified during the trial, said she'd paid him $30,000 over 2 years. Wanted to find something, anything, some secret she could use to break us up. She never found anything, so she created something instead. She created Bridget. Bridget testified too, told the whole story, how my mother-in-law had recruited her, offered her money, a lot of money, $200,000 to help rescue her son from his terrible marriage. Bridget thought it was a game at first, harmless fantasy, but the money was real. The plans became real, and by the time she realized how far it had gone, she was in too deep. She told me the wife was abusive, Bridget said on the stand, that she was keeping her son prisoner, that she was stealing money. She showed me fake bank statements, fake emails. I thought I was helping. Then I realized she'd faked everything, but I'd already broken into their house. I'd already done things I couldn't take back. Why didn't you stop? The prosecutor asked. Because she said she'd tell everyone I'd raped her son. Said she'd make up a story about me drugging him. She had photos. She'd photoshopped photos of me with him in compromising positions. If I stopped helping her, she'd destroy me. So Bridget was a victim too, sort of. The jury didn't see it that way. Neither did I. She'd still broken into my house, still wore my clothes, still took photos of me without permission, still helped plan whatever was supposed to happen in that parking garage. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The evidence was overwhelming. Videos, photos, the journal, financial records showing the money my mother-in-law had paid Bridget, the fake documents, the stolen jewelry which they found in my mother-in-law's safe deposit box, the photoshopped wedding photo, everything. My mother-in-law's lawyer tried to argue diminished capacity, mental illness, but the prosecution showed how calculated it all was, how long she'd planned, how carefully she'd covered her tracks. This wasn't delusion. This was deliberate. The jury took 4 hours to reach a verdict. Guilty on all charges. Both of them. Sentencing came 2 weeks later. My mother-in-law got 12 years. Bridget got 7. The judge called it one of the most disturbing cases he'd seen in 30 years. Said the level of manipulation and planning showed a dangerous disregard for others' rights and safety. We sat in the courtroom as they were led away. My mother-in-law looked at my husband one last time. Not at me, just him. She mouthed something. We couldn't hear what. His hand found mine under the table and held on tight. Outside the courthouse, reporters were waiting. We'd become a story. Crazy mother-in-law, they called it. Fatal attraction between family members. The headlines were sensational, disgusting, but we didn't comment. Just walked to our car and drove away. We moved again after the trial, 4th time in 8 months. This time out of state. New jobs, new house, new life. We told no one where we were going. His brother knew we were leaving, but not where to. His dad didn't get even that much information. It took another year before I could sleep through the night. Before I could walk to my car without checking over my shoulder every few seconds. Before I could see a woman with blonde hair like Bridget's without my heart racing. The therapy helped, both individual and couples. We processed trauma, betrayal, the complete destruction of trust. My husband struggled the most. He'd lost his entire family, his mom in prison, his dad choosing her side, his brother supportive but distant, trying to maintain relationship with both parents and us, family gatherings we'd never attend again, cousins who believed we'd been too harsh, too unforgiving, who thought we should have handled it privately. They don't understand, he'd say. They weren't there. They didn't see. I know. She was going to hurt you, maybe kill you, and they want me to forgive that because she's family. You don't have to justify yourself to anyone. I know, but it still feels like I'm the villain somehow. That's the worst part. The people who didn't see the evidence, didn't live through it, they made us into the bad guys. The son who turned on his mother. The daughter-in-law who drove a wedge into a loving family. Social media was brutal. My mother-in-law had friends who started blogs, Facebook groups, calling for justice, calling us liars, saying we'd fabricated evidence, that the videos were deep fakes, that we'd framed her because we wanted her money. We didn't want anything from her. We wanted to be left alone. The restraining order was permanent. Neither my mother-in-law nor Bridget could contact us, come near us, or have any third party contact us on their behalf for the rest of our lives. The judge made it clear. Any violation would mean more prison time. We submitted victim impact statements. I talked about the fear, the violation, the feeling of being watched, replaced, erased. My husband talked about betrayal, about mourning a mother who was still alive but dead to him. After the trial, after the move, after the therapy sessions began to help, we had to decide what came next. Did we hide forever? Did we let his mother's actions define the rest of our lives? We decided no. We bought a house, a real house, our dream house, Victorian with a wraparound porch, big windows, a garden I could lose myself in. We installed security. We'd never live without it again. But we also installed beautiful things, art, furniture we loved. We made it ours. I went back to school, finished a degree I'd abandoned years ago. My husband changed careers, took a job he actually enjoyed instead of the one his parents had pushed him toward. We adopted 2 dogs from a shelter, big ones, loud ones. They barked at everything. It was perfect. Slowly, carefully, we built a new life. We made friends who knew nothing about the trial, about his mother, about what we'd survived. We were just a couple. Regular, normal, boring. That's what we wanted. Boring. 3 years after the trial, I got a letter, forwarded through our lawyer, per the restraining order. My mother-in-law had written from prison. It was 6 pages long. I almost threw it away without reading. My husband said it was my choice. I read it. The letter was apologetic, or tried to be. She said she understood now that she'd been wrong, that therapy in prison had helped her see she'd had an unhealthy attachment, that she'd lost perspective. She claimed she'd never intended for me to be hurt, that the journal entries were fantasies, not plans. She wanted reconciliation, wanted to be part of our lives when she was released in 9 years. I read it twice. Then I handed it to my husband. He read it once. Then we burned it together in our fireplace. Watched the pages curl and blacken. Watched her words disappear into ash. Do you think she means it? He asked. The apology? Does it matter? No, I guess not. She can be sorry. She can be rehabilitated. She can find religion or peace or whatever helps her sleep at night. But she's not our problem anymore. He nodded. We sat watching the fire. The dog snored on the couch. The house settled around us. Peaceful. Safe. Ours. That night, I realized I'd stopped checking the locks obsessively. Stopped jumping at every sound. Somewhere along the way, I'd healed. Not completely. Maybe never completely. But enough. A year later, his brother called. First time in 18 months. He'd gotten married. Eloped, actually. Didn't invite his parents. Didn't want the drama. He asked if we'd meet his wife. Just coffee. Neutral location. No pressure. We went. His wife was kind, quiet. She knew our story. He'd told her everything. She didn't judge, didn't offer platitudes, just said, "That must have been terrible." It was, I said, but we survived. His brother looked older, tired. I need you both to know something. I believe you. I believed you from the moment I saw that first video, and I'm sorry I didn't do more to protect you from the fallout. You didn't know what she was planning, my husband said. No, but I knew she was obsessed. I knew she hated your marriage. I should have warned you. Would we have believed you, without evidence? Probably not. Then stop carrying that guilt. It's not yours to carry. We meet his brother and his wife every few months now, carefully, privately. We don't post about it. Don't tell his parents. It's separate, compartmentalized. He's building his own life away from their influence too. He sees what we saw now, how his mother's love was conditional, controlling, how their father enabled it. 5 years after the trial, we had a baby, a daughter. She'll never meet my husband's parents, never know their names. When she asks about grandparents, we'll tell her about my parents. My mother sends care packages weekly. My dad calls every Sunday. They're enough. Sometimes I think about those 18 months of surveillance, 18 months of being photographed, followed, studied, 18 months of someone planning to erase me. It still makes my skin crawl. But it also made me appreciate what I have now, the safety, the peace, the boring, beautiful normalcy. My husband and I have an agreement. We never talk about his mother on good days, only on bad days when the memories resurface, when he has nightmares, when I panic at unexpected sounds. On those days, we sit together and remember it's over. She's in prison. Bridget's in prison. We're safe. We survived. And we're building something she never could have, a healthy family. One based on respect and boundaries and actual love, not possession. Our daughter will grow up knowing she's valued, not owned, that her choices matter, that her autonomy is sacred. That's our revenge in the end. Not the prison sentence, not the restraining order, but this. Building a life so completely opposite to the toxic one he grew up in, breaking the cycle. 6 years after the trial, we got word that my mother-in-law was up for parole. We submitted statements opposing it, detailed the ongoing impact of her actions, the thousands spent on therapy, the career changes, the moves, the trauma that still surfaces, the permanent fear that lives in the back of our minds. The parole board denied her request. She'd have to serve at least 10 years before she could apply again. His father sent an email through our lawyer, called us cruel, vindictive, said we were punishing her forever for one mistake. As if planning to replace your daughter-in-law is equivalent to forgetting someone's birthday. We didn't respond. Bridget got out after 5 years on good behavior. She moved across the country immediately, part of the restraining order terms. We got an alert when she was released. I didn't sleep for 3 nights. Kept seeing her face in our videos, wearing my dress, my clothes, living my life. But nothing happened. No contact, no sightings. She disappeared into whatever life she could build with a felony record. I hope it's difficult. I hope she thinks about what she did every single day. I hope she never forgets. Year 7, my husband's father died. Heart attack. Sudden. His brother called to tell us. Asked if we'd come to the funeral. My husband said no. I watched his face as he said it, waiting for regret or guilt. There was none. Just sadness for what might have been if his parents had been different people. He chose her, my husband said after hanging up. Every time, he knew what she was doing. Maybe not the extent, but he knew something was wrong. And he looked away. Do you want to go anyway? Say goodbye? I said goodbye years ago, when he called her actions loving his son too much. That was goodbye. We stayed home, held our daughter, made pancakes, went to the park, lived our normal, boring, beautiful life. His mother sent another letter from prison after his father died. This one shorter. Said she was alone now, her husband gone, her son gone. Asked if we could find it in our hearts to forgive her, to let her be a grandmother to her grandchild. I didn't even read it all. Neither did my husband. We filed it with our lawyer, documented it as another contact attempt, and moved on. Year 8. Our daughter started asking questions. She'd seen a friend's grandmother at school pickup, wanted to know about hers. We sat her down that night, kept it age appropriate, simple. Daddy's mommy made some bad choices, I explained. She hurt people. She's in timeout. Like when I hit Tommy and had to sit in the thinking chair. Similar. But for grown-ups, timeout is longer when you hurt people. Will she get out? My husband looked at me, then at our daughter. Yes, but she won't be part of our family. Some people lose the privilege of being in our lives. Even family? Especially family. Families should treat each other best. When they don't, they're just people who hurt us. She seemed to accept this. Asked if she could have ice cream. Just like that, the conversation was over. We'd protected her from the details, from the horror. She'd grow up knowing we had boundaries, that we enforced them. That family wasn't a free pass to abuse. Year 9, I stopped counting, stopped marking time by the trial, by the trauma, started marking it by the good things. Our daughter's first day of school, the promotion I earned, the garden I'd spent 3 years cultivating finally blooming exactly how I wanted, my husband coaching her soccer team, movie nights, beach vacations, ordinary joy. The anniversary of the verdict came and went without either of us mentioning it. That's when I knew we'd truly moved on. We'd integrated the trauma, learned from it, and refused to let it define us. Year 10, my mother-in-law completed her sentence. She was released on a Friday morning. We'd been notified in advance, had our security company on alert, reminded our daughter's school about the restraining order, took precautions. Nothing happened. She didn't come near us, didn't try to contact us, didn't show up anywhere. For 6 months, we waited, tense, watching, but she stayed away. We learned through his brother that she'd moved to another state, living with a cousin, working at a grocery store, quiet life, alone. He said she'd asked about us, about her grandchild. He told her nothing, maintained the boundaries we'd set. I was proud of him for that. Do you think she's changed? I asked my husband that night. I think she's older, weaker, broken by prison, but changed? I don't know. And I don't need to know. Me neither. We never heard from her again. No letters, no attempts at contact. Either she'd finally understood boundaries, or she'd given up. Either way, the silence was exactly what we needed. Our daughter is 12 now. She knows the basics, that her grandmother did bad things, that we had to protect ourselves. She's asked a few times if she could meet her. We've said no, gently, firmly, explained that some people aren't safe, even if they're family. She accepts this, trusts our judgment. She's happy, healthy, free from the toxicity that plagued my husband's childhood. She has boundaries, agency, a voice we listen to. She'll never know what it's like to be treated as property, as an extension of someone else's desires. That's the real victory. Sometimes late at night, I think about those videos. My mother-in-law walking through our house, touching everything, claiming what wasn't hers, trying to erase me. I think about how close they came, how vulnerable we were, how if we hadn't installed those cameras, we might never have known. I think about the woman in my wedding dress, the fake photo, the journal planning my removal, and I'm grateful. Not for the trauma, never that, but for surviving it, for the strength we found, for the family we built from the ashes. My husband sometimes asks if I regret marrying him, if the nightmare with his mother was worth it. I tell him the same thing every time. I didn't marry his mother. I married him. And him? He was worth everything. Last month, we finally took down the last of the extra cameras. Not all of them. We'll always have security. But we don't need 6 cameras anymore. Don't need to watch every angle. The fear has faded to caution, the hypervigilance to simple awareness. We're not victims anymore. We're survivors. And we've survived into something beautiful. Our daughter brought home a school assignment last week, a family tree project. She drew it carefully. My parents, my siblings, my husband's brother, his wife, their kids. And then, in the spot for my husband's parents, she drew a small line through the branches, wrote in neat letters, "Not part of our family." The teacher had added a note. We discussed family estrangement in class. She handled this maturely. My husband looked at that tree for a long time. Then he put it on the refrigerator, right in the center, where we'd see it every day. She gets it, he said. She does. She'll never have to wonder why we made the choices we made. No, she'll understand. Family isn't automatic. It's earned. That night, we made dinner together, all 3 of us. Our daughter told silly jokes. We laughed. The dogs begged for scraps. The house felt full, complete. And nowhere in that fullness was there room for people who tried to destroy us. I still think about that key sometimes. The one I found in the bathroom vent. How such a small thing revealed such a massive violation. How my mother-in-law thought she had the right to access our lives whenever she wanted. How she'd probably been planning this from the moment we got engaged. But I also think about the cameras. How they protected us. How the truth, when recorded, can't be argued away. How evidence matters. How we were able to prove what was happening because we trusted our instincts. Because we didn't gaslight ourselves when things felt wrong. That's what I'd tell anyone in a similar situation. Trust your gut. Document everything. Don't let anyone convince you that boundaries with family are cruel. They're necessary. They're survival. And if your family can't respect them, they've chosen not to be your family anymore. My mother-in-law made her choice. She chose obsession over her son's happiness, control over love, her fantasy over our reality. We didn't take her away from her son. She gave him away, threw him away. The moment she chose her delusion over his actual life, that's on her, not us. Every year on our anniversary, we look at our real wedding photo, the one we rescued from the fake frame. We're smiling in it, young, hopeful, unaware of what was coming. Sometimes I mourn that innocence. Those 2 people who thought family meant safety. But mostly I'm grateful for who we became. Stronger, wiser, careful but not broken, cautious but not closed off. We learned to build boundaries without building walls, to protect ourselves without becoming paranoid. We learned that surviving trauma doesn't mean you're defined by it. Our daughter wants to be a lawyer, says she wants to help people who are being hurt, who need protection. I wonder if somehow she senses our story, even though we've shielded her from most of it. If she understands, on some level, that her parents fought for their safety and won. I hope so. I hope she grows up knowing that you can face terrible things and come out the other side, that you don't have to accept abuse, even from family, especially from family. That's our legacy. Not the trial, not the trauma, but the lesson, the example, the proof that you can set boundaries and survive the fallout. Last week, someone asked my husband if he ever missed his mother. We were at a neighborhood barbecue. Casual conversation. The woman asking didn't know our history. My husband smiled politely. I miss the mother I thought I had, he said, but that person never really existed. So no, I don't miss who she actually was. Later in the car, he was quiet. Our daughter had fallen asleep in the back seat. I reached over and took his hand. You okay? Yeah. I just realized something. I don't feel guilty anymore, for any of it. I don't wish things were different. I don't wonder if we overreacted. I just don't care. About her. About that whole situation. It's finally just over. That's good. That's really good. Is it weird that I feel relieved? That my own mother is essentially dead to me and I'm relieved? No. It means you've healed. It means you've accepted reality and moved on. That's healthy. He nodded, squeezed my hand. We drove home through the warm evening, our daughter snoring softly, the radio playing quietly, everything peaceful, everything safe, everything ours. And that's where this story ends. Not with revenge or reconciliation, not with forgiveness or continued fear, but with simply moving forward, building a life, choosing happiness over bitterness, choosing safety over obligation. My mother-in-law said I was keeping her son away from family. She was right. I was keeping him away from her toxicity, from her control, from her absolute inability to see him as anything but an extension of herself. And I'd do it again, every single time, because keeping him away from that wasn't cruelty. It was love, real love, the kind that protects, the kind that sees another person as whole and separate, the kind that respects boundaries and autonomy, the kind she never understood. We're 15 years past that first camera footage now. 15 years of building a life she can't touch, can't ruin, can't even see. We're ghosts to her, strangers. And that's exactly how it should be. Sometimes I wonder if she thinks about us, about the grandchild she'll never meet, the son she lost, if she has regrets or if she still believes she was right. If she's learned anything or if she's still the same person, just older and more careful. It doesn't matter. She's not our concern. Never will be again. Our daughter asked recently what we'd do if her grandmother showed up one day, at school or the house. If she tried to make contact, we'd rehearsed this conversation in therapy, knew exactly what to say. We'd call the police immediately, my husband told her. She's not allowed near us. If she tries, she goes back to jail. But what if she just wanted to say sorry? Then she could write a letter to our lawyer. She knows how to reach us properly. If she showed up in person, it wouldn't be about apologizing. It would be about breaking our boundaries again. Oh, she thought about this. I don't think I want to meet her anyway. She sounds mean. She's complicated. But yes, she made mean choices. Okay, can I go play now? Of course. She ran off, just like that. No trauma, no fear, no scars from something that happened before she was born. That's what we protected. Her innocence, her safety, her right to a childhood free from that dysfunction. Worth it. All of it was worth it. I garden now, spend hours in the dirt, growing things, nurturing things, creating beauty from nothing. It's therapeutic. My mother-in-law tried to uproot my entire life. In response, I've become someone who plants roots, deep ones, strong ones, unshakable ones. My husband coaches youth soccer, teaches kids about teamwork and respect and healthy competition, shows boys how to be good men, shows girls they're just as strong. He's breaking cycles in small ways every weekend, creating a tiny bit of good in the world. We volunteer at a domestic violence shelter, help people escape situations where family has become dangerous. We understand what it's like to have your home violated, your safety threatened, to have people who should love you instead try to control or harm you. We help others find the strength to leave. That's how we've processed it all. Turned trauma into purpose, pain into service. We're not just survivors. We're advocates. Proof that you can rebuild after everything falls apart. The house we bought after the trial has become a home. Real home. Every inch of it is ours. Chosen by us. Filled with our memories. No ghosts. No invasions. No fear. Just life. Messy. Beautiful. Ordinary life. And isn't that what she tried to take? The ordinary. The boring. The simple joy of coming home to your own space with your own family and your own choices. She wanted to dictate our lives. Control our happiness. Make us extensions of her will. She failed. Completely. Utterly. Failed. We won. Not because she went to prison, not because she's alone, but because we built something she couldn't touch. Something authentic and healthy and wholly ours. Something that will outlast her. Something our daughter will carry forward. That's the real ending. Not the trial verdict, not the restraining order, not even the permanent no contact. The real ending is this. We're happy, despite everything, despite her, despite the trauma and the fear and the violation. We're happy, and she can never take that away. That's my message to anyone dealing with toxic family, anyone being told they're overreacting, anyone being guilted for setting boundaries. Anyone being made to feel like they're the villain for protecting themselves. You're not the villain. You're the hero of your own story. And sometimes heroes have to slay dragons that wear familiar faces. Sometimes the monster is family, and that makes it harder. More painful, more complicated, but it doesn't make you wrong for fighting back. We fought back. We protected ourselves. We built boundaries that held, and we created a life worth protecting. That's not cruelty. That's survival. That's strength. That's love. Real love. The kind that sees. The kind that protects. The kind that respects. My mother-in-law never learned what real love looks like. Maybe she couldn't. Maybe something in her was broken beyond repair. Maybe she was a victim of her own toxic upbringing. I don't know. I don't care. Her trauma doesn't excuse her actions. Her past doesn't justify what she did. She made choices. We made different choices. And now we live with the consequences of those choices. Consequences that for us look like peace and safety and joy. So yes, I was keeping her son away from family. But not from all family. Just from the toxic parts. The dangerous parts. The parts that couldn't see him as a person rather than a possession. I was keeping him safe, keeping us both safe, and now keeping our daughter safe. That's not villainy. That's love. And I do it again tomorrow, every day, forever. Because protecting the people you love from those who would harm them isn't cruelty. It's the most basic act of care, of humanity, of family, real family, the kind we chose, the kind we built, the kind that matters. And that's my mother-in-law's legacy. Not the woman she wanted to be, not the grandmother she'll never become, but the cautionary tale, the lesson in what happens when love becomes possession, when care becomes control, when family becomes prison. She taught us what not to be, how not to love, what not to accept. And in running from her example, we found our way to something beautiful. So thank you, I guess, for being the villain we needed, the threat that made us stronger, the darkness that taught us to cherish the light. We survived you, we thrived after you, and will continue to thrive without you, forever. That's my story. Our story. The story of how my mother-in-law tried to erase me and ended up erasing herself from our lives instead. How surveillance became salvation. How cameras caught truth. How evidence protected us when words would have failed. How we chose ourselves and kept choosing ourselves every single day. That's what victory looks like. Not revenge, not forgiveness, just peace, safety, the simple right to live your own life on your own terms. We earned that right. We fought for it. We protected it. And now we live it. Every single boring, beautiful, ordinary day. And she can't touch it. Not anymore. Not ever again. The cameras are still running, just in case. But mostly, they record mundane moments now. Our daughter's birthday parties, holiday decorations, normal life. Nothing sinister. Nothing threatening. Just us. Living, loving, thriving, being the family we chose to be. The family she could never understand. The family that survived her and became stronger for it. That's the ending. Not neat or clean or tied with a bow, but real, honest, true. We survived. We're surviving. We'll keep surviving. And that's enough. More than enough. That's everything.